Hello, hello. The legislation in Texas, they created a law under which grocery stores have no more saying over their own store policies. And the reason why they did this because they're working for the oil industry, the legislation, very, very oil-based, oil corporation-based state. That's what Texas is. That's why Texas is the most polluted state in the United States. So they made it so that grocery stores, any ethical grocery store or health food store that used to phase out plastic bags, to encourage people to use cloth bags instead, they are no longer allowed to do this. They are no longer allowed to make legislation over their own store policies, and then they're no longer allowed to be environmental. They have to, by law now, give customers plastic bags at the end of their shopping to carry their groceries. Okay, of course, now customers, they don't have an incentive now to bring their own bags. They get the plastic bags anyway. What happens is, the reason why this is so terrible is because over many years, those flimsy plastic bags from stores, they get swept up by the wind, and we have more and more wind because of global warming and climate catastrophes caused by CO2 heating of the atmosphere. This is a fact. This is scientifically proven. So all of these increasing storms, they pick up plastic bags. People are not responsible for their trash. They just dump something. They're not careful with things. For example, if we have those plastic bags in the house, I reuse them for different things. And I have them in a box and I store them away under a cabinet. I make sure that they don't get swept up by the wind. Or when we go places, I always have 4 of them in my purse to pick up after my dog. But I make sure they don't get out of my purse and be swept up by the wind. So, but other people are reckless. They just dump something. They're not thinking about any of these things. They're not being educated in ethics or in any of these things. This is another thing. That's why we need a complete school reform. We need a complete curricular reform. We need to have lots and lots of ethics classes and environmentalism and stuff like this taught instead of the Bible and creationism. That would be a big start to make the world a better place. Anyway, these plastic bags, they get swept out into the ocean. And what happens there is because of the water movement, these flimsy plastic bags that are partly translucent, they begin to look like jellyfish, like large jellyfish. And that is what whales eat, what some whale species eat. So there have been whales washed on shore that had starved to death because their stomachs and intestines were filled with those plastic bags. This is very, very cruel and very gruesome. Okay, and because of this, Governor Jerry Brown in California has banned plastic bags. He has banned it for all the stores. So for any store that hadn't already phased it out themselves. Jerry Brown banned it for all stores, also for the non-environmental stores. So we are encouraged to bring our own cloth bags, and that is a wonderful thing, and that has drastically reduced these plastic bags from being swept up by the wind and ending up in the ocean. So, but the legislation in Texas, because a lot of ethical grocery stores that happened also happen to be in Texas as well, some of them, well, maybe not as many as in California, I don't know. But there are some ethical stores in Texas, and they have phased out plastic bags. And so, because the legislation is tied to the oil industry and they want to keep the production line going of all of this, they're all incredibly bribed. There's incredible conflict of interest going on in legislation. The wrong people get into offices. No one says anything. It's just, no one pays any attention. No one feels responsible for anything. And no one feels responsible to correct our laws and to make the laws better so that oil industry CEOs cannot get into those legislative seats. But unfortunately, they just can't pull this off because of greed. So anyway, now they see that a lot of grocery stores have followed into the footsteps of Jerry Brown and have phased out the plastic bags on their own accord. The Texas legislation now made it illegal for these ethical store owners to phase out the plastic bags. So now they're no longer allowed to not use plastic bags. They are forced to give the customers plastic bags. I hope this is cleared, because a lot of times, my husband always says, when you explain something to someone, say it 3 times in different ways. So I don't know, I said this 2 times now. I don't know if I said it in different ways, but I try to explain it now as good as I possibly can. So anyway, this is very, very unfortunate. It's very unethical what's happening in Texas and the legislation, and to tie people's hands so they can't even do ethical things anymore. That's really bad. I would say, if I could help as a lawyer, or as a hobby lawyer, sort of, that I am, as a hobby bear mother, if I could speak out, I would say that this is a breach of civil rights, what they have been doing. Okay, this goes against the constitutional rights of the United States. This goes all the way to the nitty-gritty. This is a breach of the basic rights they have long time ago established in this country. So no one doing anything about it, no one speaking out, no one suing them, no one repealing this. Everyone's busy with their own things, and those that are already doing animal rights law, they are just loaded with cases and stuff, or the animal or the environmental lawyers, they have their shelves full of cases. So, but someone needs to take this on. So that's a terrible thing, and my appeal goes out there. Please, if you are a lawyer, take this on. Do something about this. Change that again. We cannot put the whales at risk. Okay, this is very, very horrific. And also, we need a lot of lawyers to stand up against active sonar, which is conducted by the U.S. Navy. These devices, they cause rupturing and bleeding of eardrums and lungs in whales and dolphins. Okay, that must be outlawed. When we have the robots, they will outlaw it, but that's still a long way to go until the robots have multiplied themselves, made copies of themselves and copies and made themselves better and better, that could take another 20 or 25 years. We don't have any time to wait for these kind of things. This has to be, please, my appeal goes out to human brains with this. Do something about this if you care. Don't just work for the oil industry or for the bad, horrific, destructive corporations. Work for planet Earth and the animals if you are a lawyer or a legislator or a politician. So, but this is the second thing I wanted to talk about, the victory of Peter. My husband, he always reads the Google News. I am not reading Google News a lot because it's just, usually there's too much horror and I can't handle it. I really break down crying. I'm very sensitive. I break down crying and it feels like I'm turning myself inside out every time. It's very harsh for my nervous system. But then he'll report the stuff back to me. I said, can you at least only report the good things? I mean, he doesn't do that, but anyway, last night he did report a good thing, and so that's wonderful to hear. PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, had a victory in Norway, and that is absolutely fantastic. In Norway, they still have some archaic things going. They still have whale hunting. It's very bad. It must be outlawed. They had fur farm, mass fur farms, where they take animals and the animals are often, they have their fur stripped off them without any kind of knocking out or anesthesia or pain medicine. So they have to, it's extreme, gruesome torture. People need to know this. If you buy fur, you buy torture. You contribute to this cycle of torture. So that's why I say don't do it. I made my last video about ethical furs, which is synthetic furs. That's what we want to do, to protect the animals. Get stuff like this, there are amazing things out there. If you have a lot of money to spend, there are Stella McCartney and Vivienne Westwood. They make amazing fur stuff out of 100% synthetic materials that are high quality, that are very, very soft, softer than fur, and better for everything, for the whole world. So that's the way to go, okay? But Ingrid Newkirk, the founder of PETA, one person who changes the world, people told me when I was a child, back in my family, they told me you can't change the world because, I would complain about this or that and would say we need to do it better, we need to help, and they all say you can't change the world. It was like a mantra. It's very negative to do this to children, to say you can't change the world. You should say to your child, you can change the world, absolutely. And you should say to your child, and this will also lead me to the third subject that I wanted to talk about. You should say to your child, you can do anything you want to do. You are a beautiful, powerful, light being. And you have a precious, functioning body organism system that can work wonderfully in unison and together with your precious brain, and you can help. You can make the world better. You are so powerful. Every one of you is powerful. If you believe it, if you stop looking up to someone, stop looking up to, your idols. Don't idolize anyone. Then you can do anything you want. You can help the world. You can make it better. So it's very, very negative to say to a child, you can't do it, or you're just one person, or one person can't make a difference, or such thing as, I heard people say that, oh, online petitions don't do anything. All of these are complete impotent beliefs. They are totally untrue also. You can empower yourself, you can empower your children, you can tell your children you can do anything you want to do, okay? You can make the world better, okay? And all of our petitions, Paul's and mine as well, have contributed to the ending of the fur industry in Norway. Okay, this is major success. Okay, this is huge. Okay, this is absolutely huge. And Ingrid Newkirk from England, founder of PETA, has made this possible for us. Okay, she initiated this. She's working on it. She's tirelessly working. She's just constantly traveling around the globe. She's living for this cause. She's living for the animals. That's all she does. She even goes out there and talks to dysfunctional people with her designer clothes, goes out there into a dusty front yard to save a dog. Ingrid Newkirk, she lives for the animals. Wherever she is, wherever she will come across, wherever she walks, when she sees an animal in need, she will risk her life to go there. She will risk being shot. She will go there. She will talk to the animal. She always has treats. She'll give the animals treats and water. And then she will talk to the people, and she does it totally like a Buddha, completely. There is no aggression. She would never use aggression. She'd never force anyone. She talks to people peacefully, respectfully, and she risks her life. And even if they are mean and abusive, she still talks reasonably with facts and figures and kindness and reason and rational sense. Okay? And it usually has an effect on that other person that has never experienced anything, such gentleness or kindness or love. And in turn, they do it then to their animals and children as well. So that's the chain of horror. And Ingrid Newkirk comes in and she can dissolve that chain of horror in an instant. That's what empowerment is, and that's what love does. Okay, so she made it happen. Okay, they outlawed the fur industry in Norway. Fantastic. I love you, Ingrid. Okay, so, and the third subject is the empowerment subject. And that's what I talk about all the time in my videos, because I want people to empower themselves. We have the right to feel sorry for ourselves. I do too sometimes. I cry a lot. Yeah, sometimes I get very angry also. I used to in the past, I used to do primotherapy. We were throwing ourselves against padded walls, screaming. That was our way of venting the anger out. And our journal always emphasized to not stay stuck in that state of anger, but allow yourself to go underneath, because under the anger is the hurt and the deep sadness and the grief and the pain and all of this, and to allow that what is, to allow that feeling that is there to be. If we suppress our emotions, and it's very dangerous to suppress anger, because if you suppress anger, it will come out, it will latch out in the wrong moment against the wrong individual. And it has caused death, suffering, unimaginable suffering and wars. Okay, so that's why it is so important that every single person goes within herself or himself and does the work, does the the energy work on themselves, and no longer looks at other people or expects other people to do things for them, to cater to them. Government, I know someone. He already gets $900 per month. I don't get that much money from my mother. He gets $900 per month, and he still has the nerve to complain to us that he's not getting enough. That's what unempowerment looks like. It's very ugly. It's very, very nasty how unempowerment looks like. That's extreme entitlement and a total feeling of being permanently, mistreated, or there's always people above you, or there's someone running you, or I hear this from all kinds of people, from people of all colors. I hear it. And there's a lot of 60-year-old men that have been overdoing LSD in the past, and they end up in this type of situation. It's not funny. It really isn't. And some women too. Some old ladies that have been partying a bit too much. And then what happens, then they have to be falling a burden onto the governmental payments that keep coming to them every month. For what? And just to be a leech, to a system. That's not how I am going to end up living. I guarantee this to you. If I ever end up where I am no longer of any benefit at all, where I can't even make videos or help anyone or make someone feel better, then I don't want to be around anymore. What's the point? I'm not asking people not to be around, but I'm asking people to empower themselves. Really, seriously, we live here together. You're not just one individual that's cut off from the rest, and they are not above you. They are not there and you are here or something. That's an illusion, that plays into the same storyline of the past. It's like, me, poor me, That's totally unempowering, and it's total impotent beliefs, as Tony Robbins always talks about. So get rid of this poor me attitude, because it doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve the greater good. It doesn't help anyone else either. And it doesn't feel good, so it's a class 4 experience, actually. Self-pity is the class 4 experience. And that's not good. So no matter how bad we feel, if we feel really rotten, and there's nothing wrong with feeling really rotten, and I'm not blaming you, the world is harsh. It's harsh to exist. But if you feel rotten, you have to allow this feeling to be. Don't distract yourself with eating a bunch of candy, which I have done, all of these things. So I am speaking from experience here, okay? And I'm not judging anyone. I'm just saying it doesn't work. It just makes your life more miserable. So buying a bunch of candy, that craving, I know that too well. It's an addiction. So, or much worse things that people do to get away, to run away from the pain. And I don't even want to talk about all these terrible act outs that people are doing to run away from the pain. Don't act it out. Don't run away from it. Don't do something, whatever it is, to escape. or you think you escape. It's just an illusion. You're not even escaping. Stay with that feeling. Sit with it. Sit down with it. You can do a guided meditation, or you can just sit there and look out the window and look into the beautiful, beautiful trees and the rain and the wind, and listen to the sounds. Sit there and listen to the sounds, and allow the feelings to come up and the thoughts to come up the way they want to come up. Breathe. Don't forget to breathe. Very important. I think we all get caught up sort of forgetting to breathe. Make sure you breathe through your abdomen to get air into the lower parts of your lungs. Very important. And allow the feelings to come up. And sit with this for an hour or so, at least for half an hour every day. Do that. Just go into total meditation on that what is, and not change anything in that moment. Not try to figure out feverishly how I'm going to change this, how I'm going to escape from this, how I'm going to fix that business deal that went wrong, or whatever is the thought chatter that's going on in people's brains. Just sit with it and let it be the way it is. And say, yes, I made a mistake here. Okay, I let it be. This is how it is. Or, yes, they have wronged me. Yes, I let it be. I'm not going to judge them right now. I'm just going to let it be. Everything the way it is right now. We're always at an unfinished state, wherever we are. Okay? I am too. I'm very painfully aware of this every day in my life, every second. I go to bed with fear. Yeah? I'm afraid, terribly afraid. Terribly afraid of people, terribly afraid of being hurt by someone, and I'm afraid of someone retaliating against me physically for what I have said and for how what I said felt to them emotionally. So that's what I am afraid of, because I say the truth and it hurts. So I'm making a video. I'm in the process of wrapping it up now. So anyway, I have to end the video now. I want you all to empower yourselves. Okay, you guys take care. Bye-bye.